Under there, that's a little hand truck, I think. Probably made by hard built or someone. And yeah, this thing here is a complete chassis. It actually looks new. Looks almost brand new. It looks very, very new. If you were building any kind of customized vehicle, even a kind of family transport or bus or something, you could build it on that. I do believe it looks very similar to this. This is another one that looks pretty well new. A very modern cab on that altogether. I wonder what it's doing here. You know, it looks actually like the prototype of a complete new design of float, to be honest. And here's another. Now these aren't called Morrisons. What are these called? They're not Morrisons. Are they Crompton electric cars? These things. This is the classic suburban milk float. There's another one there. Oh, there's a little runabout there. There's two little runabouts. And all these chassis. All these just spare chassis ready to be fixed up and reused. There's a little truck thing there. There's a little truck thing here. There's another little truck thing there. Obviously airport truck. There's spare axles. There's their transport vehicle for moving them around on. There is obviously what remains of the roof of a float that's been chucked there. What's that? That's a Smith's Cabac roof. Oh, look at that. Oh, there's even something stuffed in the corner there, whatever that is. I can't tell what it is. I think it's beyond redemption, that is. I think it's only the back box. Actually, I think it's only the back box. Oh, there's a box as well, another container. Charging sockets, plugs, wires, leads, links. You know, you can make up a battery pack with all the links and wires they got here. And nice thing about this place is the guy's an enthusiast. And if you're enthusiastic, I think you'll get a good welcome here. A lot of these places, you're enthusiastic and they're just doing it for a living and they get a bit sort of dull and boring. But no, this guy appreciates the enthusiasm. And these things, I believe, are battery boxes. The actual batteries, I believe, go in those. And what they do is when the batteries are worn out, I believe what they do is they take the lead bit out of the plastic box, the battery container, the actual battery itself. They take it out and they chuck away the lead bit, they replace it with a new lead bit and put it back together again. So they don't just recycle the lead bit, they simply reuse the plastic box, you know, the actual battery module it goes into, which is a very efficient use of resources. What collection of metal fittings down there, I don't know what they are. There's a kind of box of electronics. Leaf spring. If you're building, doing up or restoring any kind of electric vehicle, not necessarily a milk float, or if you're planning and converting or building your own, this is the place to come. You've got everything here. Motors, axles, controllers, wires, and you've got a lot of the bits and pieces that you wouldn't have. That you got a lot of the bits and pieces which would actually cost you quite a lot of money if you had to buy them new. Little things like links and bolts and connectors and plugs. I mean, look at this thing. You know, there's a complete axle off something there. You've got the motor. You've got the complete drive axle. That is a module. Now, if you're thinking of building an electric car or some sort of electric vehicle, you could literally just drop that module into it. You know, if you were, say, building a hybrid pickup, you could, you have a four-wheel drive, you disconnect the rear wheel drive so the engine drives the front wheels, and you put that on the rear wheels and you got yourself a four-wheel drive hybrid with that driving the back wheels and the original engine just driving the front. I mean, that's a very handy module, that. Didn't see that first time round. And it's just typical of the sort of stuff you've got here. And I don't really know, I'm just sort of wandering about blindly now. I mean, look at this handsome little Morrisons here. I mean, it's a bit rusty, but these people You know, if you want to float off them, they'll quite happily take the deck off, lift the batteries off. They've got the equipment. And they'll clean and paint the chassis for you, check up on anything that needs welding, and it'll be as good as new. You know, when these people do up a vehicle, they do it up so that it should stay out for at least 10 years. If there's anything on it that's going to fail within 10 years, they replace it. That's a very tidy cab there. That's a Smith Cabak stroke Elizabethan. There's the motor wires there. That deck that drops on there. And it's I used to drive one of these, a float, not a box van, a float, but an Elizabethan float off who was it now? Unigate. I used to drive a Unigate float, which is essentially one of those, but with the float body, not the cab. Right there, now you can just see the back. That's the roof of the float I'm having. They're going to take that in. They're going to paint it all up for me. It's all going to be taken apart, and that there is my trusty vehicle now. And I'm going to take it all apart. It's in quite sound condition under there, so I'm quite pleased with that. I'm going to take it all apart, fix anything that needs fixing, and I already have a milk float, and they're going to transfer all the bits of my identical float into that one, because that's got a much nicer body, and that'll be my runabout. Spending quite a lot of money on it, but for that I'll have a vehicle which will last me, particularly my squeak, will last me a very long time. There it is. One of the things I found out personally is that if you regularly spray stuff with WD-40, every time you're under your vehicle, your car or whatever, and you spray it with WD-40, you know, anything that kind of looks rusty or vulnerable, it'll stop rusting. So there's a little wheelie thing there. So if you're building any kind of electric car or any kind of anything doesn't have to be electric, if you just keep spraying it with WD-40 every time you're working, it'll last and last. In fact, to all intents and purposes, it'll last probably forever. A milk float will. If you just stop that corrosion and rust that you get with by just squirting and just keeping everything oiled. And so it comes to pass that this trusty little vehicle here, I'll try and get back because I'm talking, I'm not really watching what I do with the camera, so sorry if you're getting plenty of pictures of the ground. But there, that beastie there, is my float, and that in front of it is the float I used to drive, identical to the float I used to drive for Unigate. It's some reason it's been painted black inside, I don't know why, but yeah, that's an Elizabethan consort, I believe that's what they call it, and which is basically the modern version of the Smith's Cabak. Cool box on the back there. It says cool box in faded letters. Cool! I like my cool box. And well, and something does need, obviously needs a repaint. It's going to get repainted. But, looking forward to getting that on the road. Oh, I tucked in there. There's floats everywhere. They're absolutely all over the place here. And there's a three-wheeler somewhere. There's a bit of old mechanical hand control there. Literally falling over stuff here. A little runabout trucks. There's that three-wheeler again. Yeah, it's in here. There's another three-wheeler. Didn't realise that. That's there. That's it there. Because I know some people are interested in restoring the old three-wheelers. And so I'll try and get some better pictures of this one, but it's difficult because I can get back from it here.